Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Climate Science and Policy Symposium for the class of 2019, and congratulations to our soon-to-be graduates. And I'm really excited to be here. It's been a really fun year. It's been an interesting year. I've learned a lot about a lot of things, mostly about climate and policy-related things, from our speakers, from the friends of the program, and mostly from the really amazing group we've had this year. And I don't know, for some of them, I've known them for 2 years. Philo was here, I think, the day I got here on his, when I started my job 2 years ago to visit the program for the first time. And I remember meeting him and meeting most of the people here before they started in the program, knowing before we started it was going to be a great year. And he definitely met and exceeded my expectations. So thank you. I had a great time, and I think we also did it at a really interesting time. We arrived, and I think Scripps has been observing SSTs and subsurface sea temperatures for 110 years or so, and we arrived, and I think they observed the highest number ever, 79 or 80 degrees Fahrenheit, as we arrived, and we had a really great lecture. I think it was our second from Kim Prather, talking about all of the impacts that was having on the biogeochemistry. And anyway, given that, I thought that was a very interesting way to start the year, and I thought that the chain of events and unrelated events associated with the climate this year, a Category 5 hurricane making landfall, I think, toward the end of our summer session. I recall during our field trip to the California Adaptation Forum, a trivia game where they were asking us, one of the questions was the largest fires in the history of California. And if they do that game again this year or next year, whenever that conference is held, the answers will be different. We're seeing extreme heat in India right now. We've seen a lot of developments on the policy side thing over this last year as well. And I think that all of this movement toward realizing that climate change and having so much carbon in the atmosphere, 415 parts per million, I believe, was measured in May, in Mauna Loa, which was research started at Scripps. I think in this context, it's very obvious that a program like this is needed to really help bridge that gap between that science that can sometimes seem so opaque and presenting it to policymakers who have so much on their plate, and really creating evidence-based policy that leads to better outcomes for all of us here in San Diego and California, around the country and globally. And I think that this is one of 5 programs like this that I know of in the country, and I think we're on track to being the best within a couple of years. And I think that the work that these students have done, that you're going to see over the next 3 hours, will speak for itself. An exceptional array of topics. We'll start with local issues, move to energy issues, because that's really what this is all about, a huge energy system transition. We're mostly here, the population is so large, and people live so well largely because of energy. And we need to figure out a way to maintain that life and maintain the number of people we have on this planet while using clean energy. And that's really the core of the challenge, I think. And then we'll close with 3 presentations about more local impacts of global climate variability and climate change. So we're going to span topics from the Galapagos to Indonesia to the Atacama Desert to San Diego to all sorts of other crazy, awesome, exciting places in between. And again, it's really been my pleasure this year, and I'm going to not talk very long because the presentations are really great and I want to get right to those. And the first one is by Michael Baker. He's going to talk about a topic of homelessness, which is of utmost importance, and I think it's especially important here in San Diego, where so many of the people who served our country honorably choose to live, and such a high percentage live in homelessness. So I think this is a locally relevant topic and a moral imperative, and I put it first because it usually gets put last. So let's start with Michael.